In lesson 2.2, we're going to focus more specifically on writing good hypotheses to start our hypothesis tests. You may remember from lesson 2.1 that we have two types of hypotheses, the null and the alternative. The null hypothesis, which we abbreviate H naught, is the claim that we assume to be true or the status quo. The alternative claim, or HA, is what we suspect may be true based on some evidence that we initially have collected. So, in other words, our null hypothesis is our claim that there is no difference in an athlete's or team's ability in two different contexts. The two different contexts could be something like home games and away games, or it could be day games and night games. And there are a lot of other possibilities for what those two different contexts might be. The alternative hypothesis is that the athlete's or the team's ability is either greater or less in one context or another. And there are usually a couple of different ways that you can word your alternative hypothesis depending on how the problem is written and how you choose to do that. In example number one, we're going to look at a situation where we suspect that maybe basketball players make fewer shots after having played the night before. To investigate, we're going to compare the shooting percentage for Tim Duncan in games where he played a game the previous night. So, in other words, having games two nights in a row, and compare that to his shooting percentage in games following an off day. We just are going to write the null and alternative hypotheses to investigate this claim. So, our null hypothesis is that there is no difference in his ability between those two contexts. So, we would say Tim Duncan's ability to make shots when he plays a game the night before is the same as his ability to make shots when he has an off day. Now, you can also say is equal to, or anything that's grammatically equal to the same as. Our alternative hypothesis then would be something like Tim Duncan's ability to make shots when he plays a game the night before is less than his ability to make shots when he has an off day. Now, another way that you could have worded that is to say that his ability to make shots when he has an off day is greater than his ability to make shots when he plays a game the night before. In example number two, we're going to write the hypotheses ourselves instead of having fill in the blank. So here the question is whether quarterbacks complete more passes when the weather is warm. To investigate this claim, you could compare pass completion percentages for Donovan McNabb in games that were two different temperatures. So, our first context would be games that were 50 degrees or warmer, and the other context would be games where the temperature was under 50 degrees. And so, we're going to write our null and alternative hypothesis. So, our null, again, would be that he has the same ability in both contexts. What we're looking at his ability to do is to complete passes. So, our null hypothesis would be Donovan McNabb has the same ability to complete passes in warm and cold weather. Please be sure again that you're using the word ability and that you are specific about what you are talking about his ability to do. So it's not his ability to win games or his ability to rush for more than 100 yards, it's his ability to complete a pass. Our alternative is Donovan McNabb has a greater ability to complete passes in warm weather than in cold weather. You could also say he has less ability to complete passes in cold weather than warm weather. In example number three, you are given two sets of hypotheses and you are asked to identify the error. So if you read through those carefully, notice that the null hypothesis says the University of Michigan's football team performed equally well at home and on the road. Our alternative is that they performed better at home than on the road. Well, if you were reading carefully, you may have noticed these words here performed, right? Performance refers to just one game or maybe just a small number of games. And when we write our hypotheses, they should always be written in terms of their ability. So that's the error in the first pair. In the second set, we have the null hypothesis. The Boston Red Sox have greater ability to score runs against left-handed pitchers than right-handed pitchers. And our alternative is that they have the same ability to score runs against left-handed and right-handed pitchers. Here, if you're reading carefully, you may have noticed that the null and the alternative hypothesis are switched. You should always write the null hypothesis stating that the team or the athlete has the same ability, and the alternative is the one where you do greater or less than. All right, concluding this lesson, please do the homework for lesson 2.2 in your assignment packet.